stock market, you find out that people have to keep risks in mind. In a stock market, fortune literally does not favor those who ignore the risks. But for the rest of us, we are normally sensible when it comes to making decisions. And when it comes to a big opportunity, we often have this calculation going on at the back of our mind. Does the reward exceed the risks? And here is one key thing that I think we should look at. Now, the way human brains are wired, we give a disproportionate emphasis to losses. And in comparison, rewards look much smaller. So my interpretation is that fortune favors those who keep rewards and risks in perspective. Now, like I said, there are many different layers to this topic. And I know that the next person to come on stage has a completely different outlook on this. Friends, please put your hands together to help me welcome our club president, Toastmaster Hannah Victoria, onto the stage. Thank you for that introduction, Toastmaster Chandra. A very good evening, my fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. I now declare meeting 1313 as open. For the benefit of the guests, the Bangalore Toastmasters Club is a community club. Here, you will get to learn from an 18-year-old to a 72-year-old. We are the second largest and the second oldest club in over 800 clubs in India. If you want to know more about Toastmasters or the Speechcraft program, which is a short public speaking course, you can please connect with our Vice President membership during the break. His team will be around and he will give you more details. May I now request the Secretary, Toastmaster Kirtana, to please present the minutes of the meeting of 1312.
Good evening, dear Toastmasters and guests. Our first hybrid meeting number 101 theme, too bold, be bold, be brave, and the word field was that, meaning doing something in a skillful manner. The arrangements for the hybrid meeting was already and set, and the meeting will start at sharp by 6:30 p.m. by our Sergeant Arms Toastmaster Chaitra, continued with our president telling us what it meant to be bold, brave, and be herself with her mini examples. Then came in our TM Toastmaster Kamlesh, who made sure we glided through all the meeting very smoothly. We had four prepared speeches by Toastmasters Utkarsh, Vivek, Arjun, and TM Sumitra, and they were evaluated by Toastmasters Guru, Makant, Alok, and Somshekhar, respectively. Post-prepared speeches, we had a networking break for 10 minutes, during which we were able to have lip-smacking snacks prepared by our Sureka ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the snacks. To make sure we use the energy from the snacks in a right way, we had a brainstorming session, table topic session, conducted by Table Topic Master, Toastmaster Raghavendra. Post which we had a brief yet noteworthy evaluation session conducted by a general evaluator, Toastmaster Lokesh, with the help of his target team members, Toastmasters Jainam, Saidipa, Vasha, and Shiran. The winners of the meeting were as follows. Toastmaster Kamlesh, for best evaluator, Toastmaster Alok, for best table topic speaker, TM Rajdeep, and the best speaker was Toastmaster Vivek. The session was both offline and online, and had a guest of total of members, 29 members and 30 guests. Back to you, President.
Toastmaster Kirtana. Thank you, Toastmaster Kirtana. Any amendments to the minutes of the meeting that was presented? I hereby pass minutes of the meeting 1312. Coming to the theme of this evening's meeting.
Be bold and fortune will follow you. This week personal stories because fortune is yet to follow you.
So I thought I would take a different turn to the theme. All of us have this urge to be successful, to be a role model for others. If it had not been for the courage of Mahatma Gandhi to combine it with the boldness of India, our independence would have been far delayed. We would have still been maybe under the period rule. Veteran cricketer Yuvraj Singh, he was diagnosed with a cancer tumor in his left lung. Had he not been strong, had he been weak, he may have lost the battle. But he not only overcame the battle, but became a lead voice for cancer awareness. There's another quote by Ratan Tata which says, if you want to walk fast, walk alone. But if you want to walk far, walk together. Coming of Ratan Tata and I share something very special. So at home, when my husband discounts me too much, I say, hold your horses. You know who I am? I share something very special with Ratan Tata and Dhirubhai Ambani. It's our birthday. We share the same birthday. So he will have a slight smirk on his face. So I'll tell him, yeah, I'm halfway in the grave. Doesn't matter. Did Colonel Sanders make it past 60? So there's still a lot of time. Jokes apart. The classic example of a team being successful is the Infosys giant, is the software giant Infosys. It is a classic example of how a man with a team led to success. We learn many lessons from the Infosys company. First, it is because of the hard work and the commitment of the team, and how an individual can start from scratch and go to such great heights. So my friends, at some point in time, fortune doesn't need comments beyond a point. Another example I will give you, there are many revolutions which has happened, be it the industrial revolution or the green revolution. All of them had people working for a greater cause, for the society. I have not dug into who was the initiator of the industrial revolution or the green revolution, because I know for a fact that it started in different parts of the world and basically trickled down to India. But there is one revolution which started in India called as the White Revolution. Would anyone know who was the father of the White Revolution? Yes. He also won the Bangalore Toastmasters. Dr. Sonian was had a government job and he quit his government job to join Sri Tiruvan Das Patel, who was fighting the cause for a group of dairy farmers with forming a union. Once Dr. Sonian joined, with his boldness and courage, the town of Anand in Gujarat turned into
the milk pole of India with one man's courage and boldness. And he also was instrumental in bringing about the Amul brand. Basically, Amul is the one which promotes the milk products and the union. Earlier, when he joined, India was an importer of milk products, and now we are one of the leading producers of milk and milk products. So, my friends, it all takes courage and boldness to follow your instinct to go on with your life. We all have any small decision we make in uplifting another, people around us, are all facts, are all acts of bravery. To take the meeting forward, I'd like to introduce you to the Toastmaster of today. Toastmaster of today is one of the youngest Toastmasters in our club. He is quite an achiever, very, very confident. And recently I asked him, can you please participate in the speech contest which we had a couple of weeks back? And he promptly replied back to say, I'm laser focused on two activities, on two priorities right now. I will let this pass. So confidence is basically confidence personified in the Toastmaster. I think at his age, what I was doing was I had a day job, but in the evenings I was serving tea, coffee, working on some prospective brooms. So this Toastmaster is an entrepreneur. He has his own podcast called Galata, and he's an excellent stage speaker. Please join me to welcome Toastmaster Puneet Surana.
Because we have few there. The first two lines, let's start the first lines. We have a few dozen members online. For a few days. Experiment to read. Yes. And get a new member. Every seats here. So happy evening to the members and guests. Sure. So as I said, this is a hybrid meeting, which is the first time that we meet where a part of us are present physically and a part of us are tuned in virtually. A usual Toastmasters meeting, before I tell you the format, how many of you for the first time? Wow. Okay, all first times ahead. Okay. So usual Toastmasters meeting has three parts. First is the present. Second is when you take topics. And third is evaluation. Today is also a little different because we're not going to have a topic section. We're going to have activities followed by evaluation. And that is going to be something special and specific for the members. So it's something very interesting. We are different understanding the professionalism that works in annual club. To members and to all the guests, we all know that Toastmasters is covered by analysis management. This week is really interesting. One is because 2022, correct? Now, if you add all of them up, it's 12. And if you put a 2 to the 1 of 2 squared, it's 144. And we just celebrated the 144th birth anniversary of that Chestnut, who's the founder of Toastmasters. And I thought over here, but then I realized Toastmasters was legally registered on October 22nd, 1924. And two don't stop here. Galaxy Smiley persisted for 24 years before the club. In fact, he started clubs multiple times on different occasions in my city, and they all failed when he moved to the next club. After 24 years, he was able to find the entire club system. Just we don't have homes. hope we can get that. So 24 years of persistence, after which they were able to make another club outside of Galaxy's Nadi's their influence that was able to function. And that's how Toastmasters has become. It's been 94 years since this is early 19th century, early 20th century. Now, what do you all think? Did fortune favor Galaxy's Nadi? No. My grandma says that somebody's foreign means yes. But I'm going to check. Do you think fortune favor Galaxy's Nadi? No? He's not being I think he got very different. I think he got very different because the Indian Translation Association, there was no debate, young men, there was no debate on issue for him. But I think what he really got was a long lasting legacy. There are over 16,500 clubs. I do not know what the active number of clubs is right now after the pandemic, but pre-pandemic 16,500 clubs. That means every 4 minutes, somewhere in the world, some TMOD, which is like the ANC of the event, is building the legacy of Galaxy's Nadi. I think that is a fortune itself. How many of you know the early 19th or 20th century? Thank you. But the Galaxy's Nadi has really built his own fortune in terms of he has made. This is a new thing for members also. Since 1924, or even add 24 years since he began, Toastmasters has impacted over 4 million individuals. And when I say impacted, there is a measurable difference that you can see. It's fascinating how the things are connected for Toastmasters and for all of us to character. But I believe your fortune of different times, and for Galaxy's Nadi is really the fortune of having a legacy that's going to outlast him. It's already outlasting for a century. There's another thing that I discovered this week, which was the club's mission. I had no idea there was a mission tucked away inside the entire temple to me. So for the members and for myself, I'm going to read it again, and then we're going to proceed to the meeting. We provide supportive and positive communications by which members are empowered to develop communication leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. I believe all the members, because all of us are members here, and first time, okay, so multiple times, first time. We can totally say yes to a mission like this, because we have seen personal transformation happening in each and every one of us. Taking the leap forward, an interesting personal transformation that happened with the general evaluator, who's going to come now, has been that he came up with something called as Radiant organism. You use table topic rounds. So table topics is very good. 70 topics to all the guests, all the members. And there will always be an off-week topic of the handling cases. And if you are giving to this, then the evaluator, you take this, you will take it for you take it around the town. I will make it all the way. So you came up with something that's maybe not reason. So you should do this. Members and guests, key design recommend the general evaluation of today. Those are the regular. The members who are online accounts here.
Thank you very much. So today is the first time that I also heard something called Vaikina. Which I was not aware. Thank you very much. As a general evaluator, today it's my responsibility to keep an eye on what's happening around. And at the time of the meeting, I will share my inputs on what we're trying and areas where we could have improved. So with that, so let me hand it back to the TMOD of the day, Toastmaster. I will be assisted by a 3-member team. In fact, nowadays it's 4-member TAGL. As fiber, we have Toastmaster Ravi. So Toastmaster Ravi. So could you please spell out your name?
Thank you, Toastmaster. So today's The purpose of, as a timer, it is my duty to time and record the duration of the entire meeting, as well as its individual parts. And for today's meeting, the speeches are 5 to 7 minutes in duration. And at 5 minutes, I'll be holding up the green card. And at 6 minutes, yellow card. And at 7 minutes, the red card. And table topic speeches are from 1 to 2 minutes. And at 1 minute, I'll be holding the green card, and 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. And then I'll hold up the yellow card. And at 2 minutes, I'll be holding the red card. At the end of the meeting, I'll be giving the whole report to the general evaluator and submit to the club secretary in order to become a part of the permanent record. And this is all I've got.
Thank you very much. It was like a prepared speech. Today there is no table topics asked. So thank you very much, Taiwan. Also, as our counter, we have Toastmaster alone. So could you please tell us your role?
Sure, thank you, as the art of facilitator, it's my duty to facilitate the all speeches and take note of so any repetitive or words that we use. And because of the high words and can actually put up any.
Thank you very much. As we have Toastmasters function.
Imagine that you dress a room full of people. Do you wear wrinkled clothes or unpolished shoes? Probably not. Similarly, in public speaking, we are out there to impress people full of clothes. And bad grammar puts people off. So, unlike you can work on your clothes and shoes overnight, but it's not easy to work on your grammar overnight. So that is why at Toastmasters we do it regularly over every meeting. As we have tried to be mindful to appreciate the usage of good words, language, and also point out the advantage of words and language. I would also like to introduce your vocabulary by introducing the word of the day, which is domesticate. It means
bring something.
Proportional to good quality importance. A good example, his boss told him his salary would be commensurate to his experience. I'll come at the end of the day and do my report.
That's the one thing word which has this week for the past 20 years in the corporate career. Every year I get to secure this. See, I'll ask this Toastmaster. It's all over you.
Thank you, Mr. Is that for me to go back?
Thank you for watching. Thank you. Good evening, everyone present here. My role as Toastmasters educational program is based on three important aspects: better thinking, better listening, and better speaking. I'm in charge of the second one, better listening, because in order to communicate, we should follow all these three things: better thinking, better listening, and better speaking. Now, I'd like to ask you one question. Puneet has a podcast. Who remembers the name of that podcast? Wow. Yeah. Like one who answers will get chocolate from him. Yeah. You get. Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think there is one more thing to answer it, right?
Yes.
Second group, middle. Toastmasters group also. It's back to the TM of the day, Toastmaster Peninsula. Thank you very much.
There are a lot of experiments happening with guests. They're not this messy at all. It's just that today you're very lucky to have a few members and we're being bold, hoping for two tables out. And a lot of members want to tune in. Thank you everyone for doing the tagging team introduction. Now let's get into the prepared speech section. So prepared speech is where a member follows through a guideline that's in their pathways. We have multiple pathways, and in fact, a member gets to pick a path, and then there are multiple guidelines. And every guideline is backed by a speech or some activity or project or an assignment. So this pathway, this presentation mastery, we guess. The more details of that will be told by the eradicator. But there's something interesting about this eradicator. After years of learning music, this suddenly gone back to learning significance and very excited about it. Other than that, she is also a teacher at Bethany High School for Mantra. So boys and girls, sorry, that's what my podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Smita Rishi, who's the evaluator. Please be on the mic. Yeah.
Leading Toastmasters and their guests, the speakers attending the project 2 from presentation mastery level 1. The purpose of the speech is to present a speech on any topic. The speech feedback and apply the feedback to a second speech. Time of any more, time is 5 to 7 minutes. Okay.
Understand. Quick insights. Anyone come on the stage for the benefit of a dozen plus members of TM and have been missing out here and there. Let's restrict ourselves to probably this area. If you're loud and have really audible voice, then you can use the center stage as well. Because this mic is late in the Zoom meeting. Yeah. Are we okay with that? Thank you. Thank you for accommodating. Our first speech is a project 1 from L1 project, evaluation and feedback from presentation mastery, which is a part. And that is taken by a relatively new member who heads and takes care of loans against property in the regions of Karnataka and Goa at HDFC Bank. I'm excited to hear for the first time. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ramesh M.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Today, I'm going to talk about negative impacts of social media usage in our regular lives, especially Facebook and Instagram, with a real life incident example, which was revealed to me by my brother, who works in the Karnataka Police Department as an assistant police commissioner. This is a very true incident that happened in the year 2020, just before the pandemic hit India. Yeah. It is a story about the young, beautiful dentist Prarthana and an handsome businessman Rakesh. They were married couples. They lived in the posh locality of Koramangala. They had joyous plans to celebrate their New Year of 2020 at Maldives Islands. They had done an extensive planning and research on the Maldives Island, and they left to Maldives on 30th December 2019. With great joy, excitement, and exuberance, they had shared their travel plans with their friends, relatives, and on other social medias to get the suggestions and opinions about the place. As soon as Prarthana and Rakesh boarded their flight, they had their uninvited guests at their home. These guests entered their home and made it as a comfortable tent till the owners returns to their home. It was 5 days awesome, wonderful experience for Prarthana and Rakesh. Out of the excitement and entertainment which they had in Maldives, they started sharing the entire incident which was happening in Maldives, right from their landing, boarding, from their checking into hotel, their breakfast, dinner, everything. In fact, it was a live commentary which was giving to the entire world, to the Facebook updates which we were doing in. The guests which were occupied at their home, which I will tell you what these guests were comfortably looking at their feeds on the Facebook and enjoying at their home. On the 5th day, it was a 5-day trip which they have planned. On the 5th day, it was 3rd Jan 2020. They boarded back to Bangalore. As soon as they reached their home, an unexpected experience awaited them. For a moment, they just entered into home. Their main door was wide open and their house was completely emptied. For a moment, they were shocked and thought they had entered into a different house. And to their agony, they were shocked and saw that the house was burgled. And much to their dismay, they came to the sad realization that the entire house was burgled. Their locks were systematically opened, and valuables, cash, and jewelers were taken away from their house. They were paralyzed and stunned. unfortunate development, and it was their neighbors who called police for the help. After a ecstasy of New Year celebration, they had to face a desperate agony. After conducting diligent investigation by the police, they were able to crack this case in about 6 months. Prarthana and Rakesh were lucky enough because their case was resolved. In many cases, such cases will become a misery and never get resolved. Dear friends, do you know who has robbed their house and how it happened? Police investigation reveals that these criminals were none other than an uninvited guest at their homes. They were habitual offenders, tech-savvy criminals who use the information in the social media to plan their flawless crimes. They watch the information which we post on the social media and they will plan. In fact, tech-savvy criminals have upgraded, rather they have adopted technology to their business. A burglar is no longer has to walk on the street of the houses to know whether a house is locked or not. In fact, he can sit at his home comfortably and get the information about the people and houses, what they're doing it. Unfortunately, the flip side of the technology is that people are not using this one for connection and misusing for exploitation. To cut the long story short, these criminals planned and executed their crime as they kept on watching the feeders from Prarthana and Rakesh, which they were planning. Yes, you heard it right. They occupied the house as soon as they left to Maldives. They were there in the house for almost 3 to 4 days. They were enjoying the benefits of the house. They cooked the meals in their house. As soon as they checked out from the hotel, as they got the live feeder from on the Facebook, they vacated the house, took the truck and they filled the house with all the articles. They vacated the house. Friends, we have much to learn from this incident. We are so much hooked to the social medias and we misuse it and we upload a lot of things about our personal and privacy things. The issue is not about using the social media, it's about using it without boundaries. We need to escape its clutches while still make the most of everything the digital world has to offer. It's all about developing a healthy relationship with it so that the technology which has begun to enslave us will then enable us for sure. Let us try to restrict the usage of social media and enjoy our private space instead making the public display at all. If I can suggest some tips to avoid crime through social media postings, update your security settings and make it as a private so that only your friends can see your postings. Don't tag yourself at home to the Facebook post, it will reveal your locations. Don't post your boarding passes, they can track you well. Don't upload selfies from the locations instantly. Don't mention your pet's name. Don't brag about the expensive stuff you own. Thank you all.
I understood most of the speech except why not to take your pet's name online when the entire world has a separate profile for the pets. Fascinating. It's unusual how technology has become such an internal part of everyone's lives to a point that we are hearing speeches like this, movies around things like this, that is making us really afraid and distant from technology. I'm sure every one of you have gone through that phase of having all these apps, being really into them, uninstalling them, and after a while, having them back again. So it's really hard to get off of social media. And I'm happy that Ramesh shared a few tips. I hope we keep them in mind, though it's really hard to take care of privacy when everything is open now. Our next speech is in the same line, but on a contrarian view. But before I tell you more about the speech, can I have evaluator Sudipto Ghosh mention the guidelines? Oh, just one. Okay, sorry. Thank you, Toastmaster. Come, please come here.
Dear Toastmasters and guests, the purpose of this speech is for the member to share some aspect of his or her experience networking. Timers, please note the speech length is 5 to 7 minutes. Over to you, Toastmaster.
I wasn't on it, but come The speaker is speaking from a pathways called Strategic Relationships, and our project is L3, making connections through networking. This speaker is fascinating for multiple reasons. She was VP membership, and her amazing networking skills and follow-up skills is why I was able to join back Toastmasters after pandemic. She would follow up at all the right intervals, make sure I was in the loop, knowing what's happening inside the club, when things are moving back to offline. So I'm really happy and thankful for this member to have followed up. And she's short, really good at networking, because the amount of members we have, new members we have had gone up when she was in the committee. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Priyanka R. While she runs through, her speech title is The Power of Meaningful Networking. Come along.
Firstly, before you start the timer, people offline can hear me.
Yeah.
This.
Have you been to a gathering surrounded with familiar faces, but still felt unfamiliar around? I have many times. Being a little shy and an introvert person, craving or making connections from an opportunity is something that I find is difficult. Fellow Toastmasters and your guests, a very good evening. Good evening. What is networking? Networking is a form to connect with people and exchange certain kind of information. Today, networking has different forms where we meet in person, online, or social media, and every form has its own significance. Early last year, my cousin sister organized a small get-together as she and her husband were moving to Delhi. They invited all their close friends and family. Many friends that I already knew and few were introduced. My brother-in-law, who was holding a top position in his company, his line of friends who came that way were also almost of the same position in different companies. I greeted everyone and spoke on various topics which were of common interest and the job lines we were in. As I was also looking for a job change, in the course of conversation, I mentioned it. They also offered if any assistance was required. Overall, the event went on really well. Overall, doesn't it sound like a perfect networking? Doesn't it sound like? I'm sure this is what is expected when you go to build network. But for me, it ended there. But for me, it ended as I did not follow up as I know. It is not because I did not know the importance of networking. I am very well aware of its importance. But without my knowledge, or probably because of my introvert nature, I missed keeping in touch with many people. I understood its importance when I started to think of changing my job line. I felt helpless. I knew
people who could help me create opportunities and guide me. But because of this long gap, I was very reluctant to reach out to them. When I was researching on this topic and spoke to a lot of people who understand networking and who are amazing at it, that's when I realized what I lacked or I was ignorant of, and that is keeping in touch. The importance of networking is all out there. We all are aware of it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been here too. What many fail in networking is to maintain and carry forward to make connection. That's what we miss, don't we? Don't we? When you create a connection, you don't create a connection because of what you get from it. It is about what value you can give. It is always a two-way process. It is about creating meaningful, powerful connections. Only then you will see opportunities present in front of you in every aspect of life, not only professionally. This is something I personally learned from my mother's sister, who had reached a rough patch and now a successful business woman in FMCG space. It was that meaningful, strong bond that she had created over the years that her rough patch in the business did not last long. She told me, once you create a connection, no matter in formal or in informal event, learn to sow, S-O-W, where S stands for stay connected. Stay connected in every possible way, because the biggest strength you drop is from the people you have in your life. Once you share each other's contact or establish a contact, continue in various ways to stay connected. That can be a social media platform or anything. And once you connect with it, don't leave it there and assume the rest is done. O. O stands for organic. O build your relationships organically. Build your relationships to create or to maintain connection. You don't have to pay, even though that is considered the most beautiful way to stay connected on a networking. Be honest, be genuine, put your points across in the best possible way that the other person wants to. You don't always have to argue with them. And the last, the most important, W stands for ways to stay connected. Even the simplest and the smallest way, by wishing or greeting someone on special occasions, like birthday or important festivals, by calling or dropping a message, or even liking and commenting on someone's post, or if possible, send a cake or a small box of tea on that important occasion. These small gestures sometimes deepen the relationship. Sometimes the smallest gesture is the best way to make the other person feel important. And when they feel it, the connection lasts for long. So, we all have our own ways to sow our connection, to stay connected, to build organic relationship, or find ways to stay connected, to strengthen our connection. We all know what we sow, we reap. So, how is your sowing going to be to reap the benefits of networking? Over to you.
The first prepared speech was about don't show too much. And the second is about sow. Interesting. Yeah, one of the worst things about me and my work is that I meet thousands of people every month, and I find it very hard to stay in touch. And over the years, what I've realized is that I remember in my ninth grade when I had met a celebrity, a child actor, and I asked him multiple questions at an event after the event, and I'd saved his number. And I'd stay in touch with him through the college every now and then, studying hi, this, that. And I remember, I think about 6, 7 years later, when I called him for the first time, we had a chat for 9 minutes to invite him to my college. He remembered every little detail of the first time we had met. And he couldn't come to a college back because he was too busy. And during pandemic, he called me back and said, my company needs some support. What can you come in and support? And today he's one of my closest friends in my inner circle. So sewing really has long-term compounding effects. So I hope you go beyond just taking a selfie with a really important person and sewing that relationship into something really meaningful. An interesting thing that you're going to see now is you're going to see the fruits of Toastmasters right here. Because now that Ralsei Smedley had sold 93 years ago, the fruits of a speech or a prepared speech usually happens a little later in the meeting. But today, we are bringing it closer because we don't have this middle section of table topics. So we're going to get into the evaluation section where you will actually see real needle-moving suggestions by experienced speakers and Toastmasters members that will help the two speeches you have seen already. So can we give a huge round of applause to Vaidyanathan? And finally comes over members to use the voting link. The password is 1313. Yeah.
This yours?
No, that's what the Zoom is for the recording.
So that's the problem. You have technology. Palace of this is better. So I use I use a phone only for taking and receiving calls and making calls. That's it. I don't use it in WhatsApp quite often. Nevertheless, today I think for the very first time we had a meeting which is hybrid in nature, where we meet at Ashirwad, and also there were quite a few people who are taking the meeting online. At the beginning of the meeting, there was a bit of a technical glitch. I think thanks to the teamwork that was put in by the Sergeant at Arms, the TMO, the Clinton, I think it was rectified, and then we are able to have a meeting started well on time. I think kudos to the team who started the meeting on time, despite facing all the other today, we also got to see why this gentleman who is seated in the first row, suited, dressed well for the occasion, is known for the kind-hearted or the helping tendency. That was on full display today. There were 4 guests who came into this meeting for the very first time. He was the only Toastmaster who was attending right from the word go. So he spent close to 10 minutes with each and every one of the guests. I think that's something that we need to learn from this Toastmaster. For teaching us or letting us know what needs to be done when a guest walking. Another meeting started exactly on time, 6:30, bang on time, and then our Toastmaster, Sergeant Arms Toastmaster Chaitra, came on stage. And it's one of the most demanding roles. It's not quite easy to set up this meeting hall and then getting onto the stage and then kickstart the meeting with the energy that she displayed. So everything was done with pinpoint precision. So, yeah.
Chaitra and another person were given 5:30. I came here at 5:30. Before that, they were attending the meeting.
Absolutely. It's not quite easy because then people who come here early, they can see the chairs getting half hazardly arranged, and then there has to be someone who has to. This is all is not neatly arranged. Okay, so that's the responsibility of the sergeant at arms. They have to come well on time, and then they have to make sure that everything, whatever you see on board, whatever display you can see, these recordings and the chairs getting arranged, everything is done by the sergeant at arms. That's why I say it's a demanding role. but she did it in style. So hats off to her. During the course of her speech, she said, I have 3 rules for you. Number 1, I will give you 10 seconds to switch off your mobile. Not even 1 second got over. She went on to point number 2. If you say that you are going to give 10 seconds, stand by that. Or otherwise, you can say that I will give you some time, so please do switch off your mobile and then you can do what you want to do. Otherwise, job very well done, Chaitna. And then she had a different perspective of the day also. She equated fortune with the kind of things that we witness here in stock market. Right? Beautifully explained. The paradox was beautifully explained. And then came Madam President. Okay, I was desperately waiting to hear her speak because this is the first time that I've come to this meeting. Wow, what a transformation Toastmaster had. Fantastic start. I think she knew that all the personalities that she spoke about today. I'm a big fan of all of them. She didn't speak about 1 or 2 or 3. She spoke about Gandhi, then to Yuvraj Singh, and then to Ratan Tata, and then Dhirubhai Ambani, and then Infosys, and then Kurian, and then Patel. I was a bit confused what exactly she was trying to convey, isn't it? And also she said that she has got something very unique or similarity between Ratan Tata and Dhirubhai Ambani being a birthday. Now I know the reason why she's uber rich, right? So thanks for letting us know. Right? But the thing is, Hana, when you are going to deliver a presidential address, when you make things a bit complex by talking about a lot of personalities, the overall message gets diluted. If you were a president, then if you need to speak about the theme of the day, you might need to pick and choose one example, one personality, and then talk about that personality. Because all these personalities who you have said, be it Abul Kurian, or be it Yuvraj Singh, be it Gandhi, anyone can make a 1-hour speech, right? You could have chosen one. Yuvraj Singh, despite being diagnosed with cancer, he fought against all odds and then got back into Indian. He is one of the highest paid IPL cricketer in the year 2017. You would have connected the team to one character, right? That would have given a lot of credence to this particular speech. And then there was one particular word which I also find it difficult to pronounce. Okay, commensurate, right? So these are something which are not to be forced. You don't need to force with something just for the sake of using the word of the day. You can let it pass. Okay, so there are people who might use it. Okay, so these words of the day are something that we can understand and learn the meaning of the way of it. So that doesn't mean that you need to force with something. Otherwise, brilliant job, Hannah. Hats off to you. Good to see you. Very comfortable on stage. Keep up the good work. And then came our Toastmaster of the day. What's his name? Puneet Surana. Puneet Surana. The best part of being a Toastmaster of the day is being extended. Okay, you don't need to come prepared and then you might need to read out everything quite a bit. You need to be external. You need to pick and choose something which happened during the course of the meeting and then come out with something which is spontaneous. And that's something that we did brilliantly. This is something that we all can learn. The way in which he connected 2 different speeches. One speech got over and then he got into second speech. Before that, he connected what the previous speaker spoke. That shows the kind of off the field thinking that he has got. That's brilliantly done. And the second important thing is the way in which he introduced every speaker and the evaluator. Okay, so nicely done, evaluators and then the speakers there. I think they must be flying high by the way you introduced them. However, if I may need to offer you one suggestion. Again, your storyline revolved around one particular character, which was Ralph C. Smedley, but everyone knows about Ralph C. Smedley. This is an occasion or this is one of the opportunities that you have got where you could have spoken about something which is quite interesting. Yeah, so you have reeled out quite a few number of facts, these many clubs, 124, 12. I think many of this started to get into my mind because I'm too big in mathematics. But What I'm trying to convey is, when you have an opportunity to speak about a theme of the day, let us say something which is very interesting, which can cut ice with all the audience, rather than speaking only about Toastmasters. Otherwise, a brilliant job done, Puneet. Now, let's move on to the speech evaluators. To evaluate the speech by Toastmaster Ramesh, we have Toastmaster Smita. Smita, it's over.
Toastmasters, guests, and Toastmaster Ramesh in particular. Negative impact of social media in real life. Insightful, interesting topic. Congratulations for choosing this topic. You had a real story which caught the attention of all the audience. You had vivid description about it. You said uninvited guests. Okay, yeah. Where you could have just told plain thieves. You told uninvited guests, and that was, I thought, a subtle humor you brought into your speech. You had you had enough content. You had the transition body of the speech was good, and you concluded it well. I must say, with a lot of tips, but the best takeaway for me was use social media with boundaries. Not to, you have to use, you can use it, but use it with boundaries. Now, you have to use, the purpose of the speech is to get feedback. Now, what I would like to give you 3 feedbacks, 3 suggestions actually. I want you to work on your voice volume. I think you can speak a little more louder. Second thing, try to avoid notes. If you had avoided the notes, your speech would have definitely gone into a totally different level because the content was good. Third thing is eye contact. I felt you were giving a lot of attention to people sitting over this side, and I was feeling left out in that corner. So maybe you can give your eyes to the audience equally. Now to challenge yourself, I would say control your nervousness. You are well prepared, but and how can you control your nervousness? I will just give you 3 tips or 3 points. That is practice, practice, and practice. So take it to the next level, your speech. I would say you are impeccably dressed, and that added to your personality, the impression you gave on the stage. Congratulations to you for having finished the project. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ramesh and evaluator Smita. So, round of applause to both of them. I think the young couple from Kormanga would have listened to the speech of Priyanka. I think she would have delivered the speech, I think earlier as well. Okay, she gave 3 tips, yes, OW. I think they took it a bit seriously, the young couple. They stayed connected, and then they also had ways to get connected even when they were in Maldives. Yeah. And I think the result was for everyone to see. That's good. And our next speaker was Priyanka, and her speech is going to be evaluated by Toastmaster Joe Spon.
Thank you, General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, dear guests, and Toastmaster Priyanka in particular. I think, as the General Evaluator just remarked just now, I think your speech has been helpful and broad including possibly some of the people that you mentioned who are not present here. Now, coming to the speech, you started the speech with a question, and now that signifies two things. Basically, it signifies the confidence that you had, and secondly, I think you developed a connect with the audience, and it was well done because I think most of us would have found ourselves in that situation mostly, you know, where we meet unfamiliar people and then we don't know how to take it forward from there. So I think that was very well done. And then you got into what is networking and what are the forms of networking. I think it was brilliantly put. That is a good point. And then came your personal experiences in networking. And what I liked best was you gave your personal experience in networking first, which created the want for networking, wherein you mentioned about you going to that get together and not making full use of it. And then you came about with the second experience, and basically that was your aunt's experience and how she benefited out of networking. And something that we will never ever forget is the abbreviations of SOW. I think you did that brilliantly well. And that really highlighted that one's career will commensurate with the efforts that one puts into networking. I think you did that very well. It was brilliantly done. If I may have a suggestion, I felt that it would have possibly been much more impactful if you would have had another experience, personal experience, wherein you personally benefited out of that networking. I think that would have taken the speech to a much higher level. But I must say that even otherwise that you have done the speech very well, and especially the other aspects of public speaking like clarity, eye contact, gestures. I think these were all very well done. Of course, you are an experienced speaker, and so you put all your years of experience into the speech. I think you did very well. All the very best for your next speech.
Thank you, Jose, and thank you, Priyanka. She works for Nokia. When the speech title was networking, I got a bit confused. It's going to be a bit more technical, Nokia networking. But luckily, you know, it was not a technical speech. It was more of a lot of advice. So thank you very much, Priyanka, and thank you, Jose, for that wonderful evaluation. And now it's time for the tag team to share their inputs. So as Timer, please, are you ready? Timer. Yeah, please. You don't need to. You don't want to come here?
Yeah, I'll be happy.
It's first time for Naveen in the office.
Good evening, all. And today's meeting started sharp at 6:30 p.m. And Toastmasters Chaitra took 3 minutes and 5 seconds of time, and Toastmaster Hannah took 7 minutes and 4 seconds, and Toastmaster Punich Sprana took 6 minutes 45 seconds, and the speakers Toastmaster Ramesh took 6 minutes 13 seconds, and the Toastmaster Priyanka took 7 minutes 5 seconds. And the evaluators, Toastmaster Smita took 3 minutes, and the Toastmaster Josh took 2 minutes and 45 seconds. That is.
The voting link is shared, and the code is 131. This time you can really take in seconds. Sorry? Evaluation? Sorry, I didn't.
Secondary evaluation.
Secondary evaluation. When there is no feedback that I can think of, then I conveniently skip those evaluations. When everything is spot on, so how can you give a feedback? Isn't it? So that's where I can easily skip all those. Because otherwise I need to say something for the sake of saying. So Keith, I need this camera stuff. And more importantly, thanks for reminding me. So, brilliant job done, I think. Now 20 seconds over, I think. Now it's time for our art on to come on stage. You'll stay there? Okay. Most of the speakers are flawless. You want to see on Zoom? Okay, sure.
Good evening, everyone. Most of the speakers were flawless. There were a few R's and R's used by Toastmaster Jospal, Toastmaster Puneet, and Toastmaster Hannah. I think it's mostly because of the length of time at spoken stage. Wish you good luck to all the speakers.
When he said most of the speakers were flawless and he was winking at me. Now it's time for the grammarian. So what do you?
Some good usage of words or phrases we saw today. Guided through meaning. If you want to walk fast, walk alone. If you want to walk far, walk together. Trickle down, laser focus. What we saw, we read. Compounding effect, needle moving suggestion. Some also good adjectives were used. Agony, dismay, ecstasy. Some bad usage of words or phrases. Instead of he also was instrumental, it should be he was also instrumental. Instead of social media, it should be social media. Instead of commentary, it should be commentary. Instead of everyone know, it should be everyone knows. Instead of insightful, it should be an insightful. Instead of that signified, it should be that signifies. The word of the day was used once each by Toastmaster Hannah, Toastmaster Rajanathan, and Toastmaster Jose. Thank you.
Thank you. Listen. Thank you so much.
What is the name of the town where White Revolution happened? Anand. Who said first? Yeah. Hello. I'll give a shot. What's the full name of Smedley? Yeah. Who said the correct name? Apart from you. Hello. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Fortune favors. Two persons use that sentence. Fortune favors. Who are those? Yeah, right. Umakant is right. Correct the doctors for me, data. What's the name of the couple from which Ramesh Mangala? Rakesh. You don't remember your first name? What's the name of the couple? Yeah, one is Rakesh, other one. Who said? You said. You said one name, he said another name. So you're up. So, what's the expansion of so? Does anyone remember? Yeah. You can stay connected. Right? Switch off. The last one. Fortune. One person said fortune is yet to follow me. Who was that person? Right. Over to you. Yeah.
This is the first time I've seen Joe's Paul fight. His son was standing, seated next to him. There was a question, what is the name of the couple? So he said, Ramesh or Rakesh, whoever it is. He was about to say, but he was looking. And then finally he said, we are not. So I can understand. Okay, anyway. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think it was a pleasure meeting you all after, I think 2 years, more than 2 years. I hit the stage after 2 years' time. So good to be a part of this lovely crowd. I hope this gets built up in the meetings to come. So thank you very much, and it's back to the team.
Big round of applause for everyone. You got to witness Vaidyanathanism. He was giving feedback to the secretary. The essence of the theme for today is something that I witness every day or every week here, which is that when we say bold, I think of it as courage. And for each and every one of us, the members and guests, I think coming here is really about building the courage. It could be a small courage of just standing up for the first time and nothing day today and just reading it out while looking at the diary. I started like that. Or it could be being as flawless as he's not here, telling somebody else. Anna, yeah, as flawless as her, though she is a teacher. So it's fascinating how things could be so different by just having a little courage. And over time, you see the courage compounding, especially in like all our senior members have seen our members grow into such phenomenal individuals over years. It's fascinating to witness this week after week. And I hope, yes, you had a really meaningful time this evening. Handing it back to the president. Oh, we still have one more voting left for the tag team. Password is 1313. You have 10 seconds. Okay, a quick announcement. After the president closes this formal meeting, we're going to have another formal session. But before that, before the formal session begins, the moments of we're going to have a short break for 5 to 10 minutes. So handing it back to the president for the award ceremony.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Puneet. Before we move on to the awards, I'd like to ask the guests if you can please mention your name and how did you know about Kakri? The first time, please. Yeah, you.
I'm Keshav Prasad. I'm from Boston. So I just came to about this Toastmaster through website.
Good. And how was your experience?
It went on. I like enjoyed it.
Look forward to seeing you.
Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Sita. My cousin is the member of a Toastmaster. I don't know the meeting. And my institute also has a Toastmaster. His name is Nike. So I found the session very interesting today. Speakers were very good.
Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Mansi Bihani. The first time I heard about Toastmasters was when I was living in Myanmar, and one of my colleagues used to go to this Toastmaster Club every once a week, and we were like, what is this? What are you doing? And now when I'm looking at improving my public speaking skills, I remember I was like, that's what needs to do. So I googled up, and I think I called you, Hannah, and I've been in touch with her. So I just messaged her at 5:15 saying, can I drop by? And she said, yeah, sure, come over. And it was amazing because the energy is amazing. I think people from different walks, and yet, it's so positive. So that's really interesting. I look forward to further interactions with you all. Thank you.
So yeah, so a couple of my friends suggested I go to Toastmasters and still college and we have Toastmasters there. So yeah. So what is oh yeah, my friends. Yeah. So it's a great experience being would like you to know public speaking skills, so I guess it will help. So yeah, over to you.
Hi, I'm Naveen. I'm working in IT. I didn't know the stuff from internet. Yeah, so personally experience, I don't know how to go in my conversation. Look forward to this.
Hi everyone, I'm working in India. So I've come across this by my name is Padma. So I felt it interesting when she was explaining it. So I thought let me come and see how it is. I even called once before coming here. So that's how I
Hello everyone, I'm Srinath. So basically, COVID had a confidence. So I was just looking up how to improve my confidence in speaking skills. So I guess the workshop came about the Bangalore Toastmasters Club. So I thought why not do it like yeah. The experience here and learning a lot of things. Yeah, I'm just curious on how to improve my skills.
What you all know you want.
So I thought I would just speak but I think I can make one.
We want to hear you speak, so you can come here. Ranjan, we've heard. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, in the break, if you all can please mention your numbers and your names, we will be in touch. The team will be in touch with you all. Yes. Thank you so much, all of you, for taking the courage and the step first to come forward to the stage. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Also, we meet. So we look forward to seeing you. Now we go ahead with announcing the awards. The best Taggle team player goes to Toastmaster Robinson D'Souza.
This must be deliberately done so that we can be on the stage for a long time.
The best role taker award goes to Toastmaster Vaidyanathan. The best evaluator award goes to Toastmaster Joe Scott. And the best speaker award goes to Toastmaster Priyanka R. We will be having a short break, so I would request. Sorry to. Okay, we welcome our area director, Saurav Datta, Toastmaster Saurav Datta. He came in a bit late, so I would request you to please come in.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to be back to offline meetings and particularly to back to Toastmasters Club. And we will be having them in